Hey, what's going on? This is Michael from Auto Musician, and in this training series, we're going to launch your automation machine, which is going to allow you to really hyper-focus on the most engaged fans who are likely to resonate with your music. And the more data that comes in, the better that your targeting is going to get. And ultimately, that's going to allow you to leverage your time and to significantly increase the profitability of your funnel. So by the end of this training series, you're going to have a system that automatically targets the right people who resonate with your music based on creating something called a lookalike audience. This is what we call the inTune process. If you don't do it, then what ends up happening is that you might end up with a lot of numbers on the surface. A lot of times the engagement's out of whack because a lot of those people are actually just fake followers. They're not, like, there's bots, they're not real people. Or if they are real people, the algorithms tend to prioritize the cheapest traffic for you if you don't have anything set up to really target the right people. So it can be good for social proof when you're just getting started, but ultimately you really want to have a system that is streamlining it so that you're filtering out the people who are just casual listeners who aren't really the super fans, the people who are the most engaged. There's something called a lifetime value lookalike audience that lets you actually put in how much your fans have spent on you over the course of their relationship, which is going to help you to target and find people who are most like your top customers, which is really great in terms of like monetizing your music career and reaching the right people who genuinely get the most value from you and from your music. Ultimately, I think this is going to save you a lot of time and money. I think that paid traffic is probably the best, or at least is my favorite system for growing your audience because it's probably the fastest, most systematic way to grow. As long as you're smart about how you're doing your targeting, so you're reaching the right people, and you're smart about having a funnel on the back end so that, you know, for every dollar you put in, you're getting at least $1 or more out. I think it's one of the best opportunities to be able to grow your fan base very quickly. So I'm excited to geek out. Part of the reason that I'm doing this free course is because I'm looking for new artists to mentor personally. The goal is to build a profitable funnel that allows you to focus on your music full time so that you can wake up every day with messages from new fans who are discovering your music or genuinely enjoying it, and you don't have to rely on just the same friends, fans, and family to listen to your music. My band Paradise Fears, we went from a point where we lived in our van to releasing an album that hit #2 on iTunes and touring worldwide with about 24 million streams on Spotify without a record label, independently. When I started my family about 5 years ago, I was kind of like a basketball player who became a coach. I started this business Auto Musician to be able to coach and help other artists to be able to build a successful music career. In the past year alone, our artists have generated over 96 million streams with their music. They've hit $2.6 million in revenue from their music. And we had an artist whose album hit #1 as a singer-songwriter on iTunes as an independent artist. So if you're interested, you can submit an application to work directly with me and my team. We have about 29 coaches now. They really enjoy using all these tools and basically helping to build these systems for you. We do have a limited number of spots that we can work with. And so we have to be really selective with who we bring into the program. Right now, we bring in about 800 applications per month and narrow it down to about 25 to 30 artists to work with. In order to be qualified, really the 3 main requirements are that one, you need to be at a point that you've already recorded at least one high quality song that you feel proud of, that you're ready to promote. It doesn't have to be released. It needs to be at high enough quality that can be competitive. Requirement number 2 is that you need to have a healthy budget to be able to invest into your music career. And we're going to be using a lot of really awesome tools and running different types of campaigns. And so my recommendation would be to have at least $1,000 per month, like minimum, that you can invest into creating a profitable music career. So it's something that you need to be serious about, like actually pursuing this full time. Requirement number 3 is that you need to be coachable, willing to take action really quickly, and to do what we guide you to do. If you think that you might be a good fit, you can submit an application. If you make it to the next step in the selection process, then one of our talent scouts will get on a strategy session with you to learn more about your situation, your goals, and your challenges, and see if we would be a good fit, and to create a custom game plan for you based on your music and based on your situation. And otherwise, let's dive into your automation machine. All right, so to start with, let's do a real quick review of the funnel that we've built so far. You know, if you're tuning in right now later and you haven't watched the previous videos, then feel free to go back through the course and learn a little bit more about this funnel that we set up, how to launch these campaigns. But as a quick recap, really we built this funnel that's designed to take people from cold to warm to hot. If someone's cold, it basically means that they haven't heard your music before and they don't really have a relationship with you. It's not the kind of person that you would offer to buy a merch bundle right away. Because if you walked up and said, hey, buy my merch bundle, it'd be like asking someone to marry you on the first date. Right? Like, it would be kind of skipping some steps in the relationship. But they might potentially love your music. They just haven't heard of you before. Whereas someone who's quote unquote like hot traffic basically means that they know who you are, they love you, they've gotten a ton of value from your music. They might even have like a tattoo of one of your songs or one of your lyrics. And they're the kind of people that drive several states across to come see you play and buy $200 or $300 worth of merchandise from your merch table. These are like the top 5% of your fans who are going to account for the majority of the revenue that you generate, and also like just the impact. They're going to be your biggest supporters and promote you. And ultimately, these are the most valuable people that are going to really move the needle in your music career. The purpose of the funnel is really to build a relationship with new fans and to take them from cold to warm to hot. Another way to look at it is that it's a value delivery mechanism. So the further someone goes down in your funnel, the more value that you're going to provide to them. That's also what tends to warm up the relationship, right? One of the best ways to build a relationship is by providing more and more value and building trust. So the first thing that we do is we identify what are 3 to 5 artists that are sort of like a dream tour for you, and have fans who might like your music as well. So really, we hope to identify who are those top 3 to 5 artists to start with, and then you can adapt from there. We walked through this in module 2 when we talked about creating your targeting audience. So you can go back and check that out if you missed this part specifically. But once you have those 3 to 5 artists, then you want to send them to your tip of the iceberg content. And so your tip of the iceberg content is going to be 1 to 3 of your songs or videos that you feel most proud of. It's going to make the best possible first impression. Then from there, really the next step is the inTune process. And the inTune process is really, really important. And it's probably the thing that most people miss that will either make or break you. It's kind of like tuning up your guitar. Let's imagine that you are the most talented performer in the world, and you're going to perform the best song in the world, but you go on stage and your guitar is completely out of tune. It doesn't really matter how talented you are, how good the song is. If the guitar is completely out of tune, it's gonna sound terrible. The same thing applies to your marketing and to your system for growing your fan base. It doesn't matter how good your music is, doesn't matter how talented you are. If you're reaching the wrong audience, the wrong people who aren't actually in tune with you and your music, it's not gonna work. For example, if you're a country artist and you're targeting heavy death metal fans, very unlikely that they're actually going to enjoy your music. What we need to do is we actually need to build in a system to be able to identify who are your most engaged fans, who care most, who are really resonating with your music. Then we want to be able to target more people like them by creating something called a lookalike audience. So in the Street Team software that we walk through, we automatically do this process for you, where we segment fans into these different levels, like bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and diamond. We do this based on the amount of fan actions that they take. In the Street Team app, we give fans can get points for streaming your music on Spotify, for following you, for referring their friends, for coming out to a show, and taking these different fan actions that you can configure so that you can keep track of who are your most engaged fans. Basically, what happens automatically is that they get segmented into these different groups. You're able to identify and honor the people who've ranked up in your Street Team by giving them different exclusive rewards and benefits. And for you, that's so valuable, because then you can use these audiences to create lookalike audiences based on your most engaged fans. One reason this is really important is because if you think about Newton's laws of motion, right? An object in motion tends to remain in motion unless acted upon by an outside force. If you have someone who's never come out to a show, they never bought anything from an artist before, never purchased anything or supported them, then it's very unlikely that that person is going to become a fan of your music and start supporting you and come to your shows and support you financially. Right? Because an object at rest tends to remain at rest, as opposed to someone who's already a super fan who spends thousands of dollars per year on music and gets a ton of value from it. And they're inside their room, they have posters hung up, and they have they've had their favorite bands come play at their house. Those kinds of people are way more likely to get value from your music and to be your super fans, right? So we need a way to identify those people. If you don't do that, then you tend to attract the people who are more bronze, because those people also tend to be cheaper in order to reach with paid traffic. So you really need a system to be able to identify who are your most engaged fans to be able to reach those people. One thing that we've built into our software, and you're actually going to walk through specifically how to create a lookalike audience, whether you use the Street Team software or if you want to do it manually. And the way that you do it is really that you need to have a list of fans that you have their name, phone number, email address, and you need at least 100 people as a minimum. But then if you have at least 100 people, you can upload them to Facebook or Instagram. And I think Google and YouTube also has a feature like this. They might call it something slightly different, but essentially it's a lookalike audience based on the people that you upload. When you do that, it looks at those people and it says, what are their demographics, what are their characteristics? Based on those people, it finds 1 to 2 million people that most closely match their same characteristics. We call this the lightning effect, because once we start running these lookalike audiences, the difference between having a really good lookalike audience that's based on your customers, and you can include something called lifetime value that actually incorporates how much they've spent over the course of their lifetime with you, then that really supercharges your campaigns. And we've seen results going up by 10 to 20 times, just with Literally the only thing that we were switching was creating a really good lookalike audience based on their most engaged fans. After we start running this traffic, we supercharge some of these other ad sets that we're currently running with lookalikes, and then we'll figure out which of these aren't performing as well, and we'll turn off the ones that aren't working so that we can keep running traffic to the ones that are getting the best results. What's beautiful is like the more traffic, the more data that comes in, the better idea that the algorithm gets of who the right people are. So the more data that comes in, the better the targeting gets. These people that you're connecting with that are going through your inTune process, they're joining your street team community that we helped you set up. From there, really the name of the game is creating new lookalike audiences based on the different steps in your fan journey. In a nutshell, the most important thing to remember is when we talked about those 4 different offers that we recommend building so you can monetize your music career, in module 4, when we walk through the starter pack and the VIP bundle and the inner circle and your diamond offer, your lookalike audience, you always want to keep it updated with your highest quality audience based on the people who are the most supportive, the ones who are the most engaged and get the most value from you. As soon as you have 100 people who've purchased your starter pack, now you can create a lookalike audience from those people. So you're directly targeting the people who are most similar to the characteristics of the people who've supported you and actually put their money on the line. In terms of your business economics, this significantly improves your ROI when you're running these campaigns. And then as soon as you have 100 people who've gotten the VIP bundle, then you want to create a lookalike audience based on those people. So now you have an even better quality lookalike audience. Same thing with the inner circle. As soon as you have 100 people, you can create an inner circle lookalike audience. Lastly, as soon as you have 100 people who've gotten your diamond offer, who've spent over $1,000 on you, you can create a lookalike audience from that. And you can imagine how powerful it is when you create a lookalike audience of 1 to 2 million people that most closely match the characteristics of all these people who've given you $1,000 or more because they resonate with your music so much. It's like this automatic tuning process that you want to set up intentionally, because if you don't set this up, then usually the targeting ends to go in the opposite direction and it's not profitable, right? You end up losing a lot of money. All right, so in the next video, we're going to walk through the fan lookalike progression and go into more detail about specifically how we keep track of these different scores and the lifetime value so you can create these lookalike audiences. And then in the third video, we're actually gonna walk through step-by-step how to launch your lookalike audience, either using our Straight Team software or doing it manually through Facebook and Instagram. If you found this video valuable, if you could do me a favor and smash the like button, subscribe, then that lets the algorithms know that this is something valuable for you and that you want more. Otherwise, if you'd like to cut to the chase and want to save as much time as possible, then there's a masterclass that we created called the Modern Musician Masterclass. It's about 2 hours long that literally summarizes all of the entire free course into about 2 hours of action-packed, valuable nuggets of wisdom. It walks through the 5 steps to explode your fan base, make a profit with your music online. Really the main requirement is that you have at least 1 song that you've already recorded, that you feel proud of, that you're ready to share with new fans, whether it's been released or not. In that training, we're going to give you a bunch of resources and tools that help you to build your fan funnel, along with a spreadsheet for tracking your metrics, and we'll walk through the top 4 offers that we recommend making so that you can generate your first $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 per month or beyond with your music career. Ultimately, I think it's just going to save you a ton of time, money, and energy. We've invested over $738,000 in the past year alone to learn what's working best right now for independent musicians. And you're going to be able to learn in like 2 hours everything that I've learned in the last 11 years. You also learn how to avoid the most common mistakes that the majority of artists are making nowadays. If that sounds interesting to you, then click on the description below where it says join the masterclass. Hope it's been valuable for you, and I'm excited to geek out in the next video about your fan lookalike progression.
Yeah!